Oh, so it's just the Atticus and Mike show tonight, apparently. Here for I think this is Colt 45, episode 45. I think might be 46. But we're well into it. So I'm gonna stop counting and just let the numbering do what it does. But
the Browns might not even come up tonight.
see, they just did. We were gonna try not to. OBJ will come up.
He will. Lots to talk about.
I mean, that's a good place to start, right? Like, because I've been playing that one through my brain. I think it's a good move for the Rams, and I think OBJ actually gets the ball. Maybe not as much as like diva receivers want the ball, but enough to keep them happy, right? And winning cures everything, right? Like when you're winning, everything's great, But I don't know who they're going to guard, who are they going to cover off the line. You know what I mean? It's a lot of weapons for Matt Stafford.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again, Mac. My computer just went apeshit.
What, you have it on ESPN and one of the videos started?
NFL.com. Yeah.
Like, if I don't have the videos started, don't start them for me, please.
Right. With audio.
Just don't need all that. I was just saying, like, I think that it's a good move for OBJ. I think it's a solid move for the Rams. It reminds me a little bit of Tampa Bay last year, right? Like going out and getting AB to come into that lineup mid-season-ish. It was a solid move for them. Worked out real well. And, he might not be a Ram next year, but he's got a real good shot to win a ring this year. It's insane. And Van Jefferson, who was their number 3 receiver, is now their number 4 receiver, and that dude's a threat. Matt Stafford is got to be just giddy. They got a squad. I don't know what else more to say
for Matt Stafford, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. When the rumors, and I'm going to take this back to when Odell Beckham Jr. was a Giant and the trade rumors were swirling. What was the first spot that continued to come up for Odell Beckham Jr.? It was the Rams.
Yeah.
Every time. Not necessarily the Rams, but definitely Los Angeles. No matter which team it was in Los Angeles, his name kept being kicked around. Good night, honey. Kicked around different tables, different meeting rooms about adding him to their roster because Odell Beckham Jr. is a big market diva receiver. And that's where he wanted to go. And if I understand it correctly, he already lives there part-time. What a great thing to happen for him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate that a receiver of his caliber and with his talent has been unceremoniously kicked off of 2 different teams. But the best outcome for him getting kicked off the team happened for him.
Yeah.
I think the Rams have a better chance than the Browns of going deep in the playoffs and being a Super Bowl contender. Now, you can look at, now that Odell Beckham Jr. is gone, the Browns are putting up 41 points. The locker room is calm. Baker Mayfield isn't trying to force passes into Odell Beckham Jr. He throws the ball where receivers are supposed to be, and they're there. And look, this is the result of it. But hey, I wish him well. I never not liked Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
You know, I've always thought he was an incredible talent. He's definitely a diva, though.
Oh, he's
So.
definitely a diva. You know, and it'll be interesting to see if Cleveland can sustain that level of adrenaline, right? Like, I don't know if they can. You know, a lot of energy coming into that first game. Once, you know, we got to go out there and just get it done, right? Everybody's all hyped up. Everybody's going to rally around Baker, you know, but is that sustainable? I don't know. You
I
know,
don't know either. I
don't think
think
it
it all
is.
depends on their running game. If
You
their
know,
running game is healthy, I think they still have a pretty good shot of going deep into the playoffs. I don't think that Baker Mayfield without a solid running game is the answer. But when you talk about the whole Los Angeles Rams scenario now, Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, they've got some options out
Yep.
there. And let's not forget, Sean McVay has shown that he knows how to turn a receiver like Cooper Kupp into a superstar. Not to take away anything from Cooper Kupp,
Yeah.
but he turns offenses into juggernauts.
Yeah.
And I think if there's any head coach that can use OBJ with his skill sets, because the question also becomes, are we going to get New York Odell Beckham Jr. or are we getting Cleveland Odell Beckham Jr.? I think we get New York Odell Beckham Jr. in the Rams in small doses to start, and then they open it up once the chemistry starts to develop.
With arguably the best quarterback he's ever played with in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know. I don't think Eli without the Super Bowls is not a Hall of Fame quarterback, right? He's just not. His greatest attribute was his longevity, right? Still think he got screwed out of that one. But you know, he never missed a game due to injury. You know, greatest attribute, right? You know, is that you could be on the field. But Stafford is a better quarterback, right? He's just a better passer. And he's better than Baker for sure as well. You know, so it's going to be really interesting to see if he can kind of keep his diva down enough to get 4 or 5 catches a game, you know, 6 or 7 targets a game. You know, is that going to be enough? Because you got to figure him and Robert Woods are probably going to be 6 or 7 targets a game. Higbee's probably going to get 5 or 6 targets a game. Cooper Kupp's probably around 8 targets a game. Now, maybe one day it's 12 targets for any one of those 4, right? Any one of them. And then you have Henderson coming out of the backfield. I forget who his switch up guy is, but you know, and then you have Van Jefferson, who's a 4th receiver.
Sony Michelle or Michael, whatever his name is.
Yeah, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, they're real dangerous. Mm-hmm. You know, but we're at, you know, 24, 30. We're at like 40 passes a game for Stafford now, right? Like, is he really going to throw the ball 40 times a game? He can. You know, probably completing about 30 or more of those. They're trying. I mean, the Rams also have the defense to go along with that. So it's going to be really hard pressed. I mean, if I'm still sticking with the NFC Championship, the Rams and the Buccaneers. You know, and I'm not trying to overlook.
Miller. Isn't Von Miller starting this Sunday?
Yep.
So their defense improved also.
Defense improved, offense improved. I'm not trying to overshadow the Cardinals, right? I just don't know if I think Stafford's a better quarterback at this point in time than Kyler Murray. And I mean, it's a dogfight. That's your top three, and I'm leaving Dallas out on purpose because I just think they're one and done. You know, depending on who they get in the playoffs, I think they're one and done. You know, they
That's a
almost
good
got
segue
blanked.
too. Yeah, that's a good segue into Dallas. And we've got plenty of things to talk about, right? Miami and Baltimore. We also have, oh shit, what was it? Cam Newton going back to the Panthers, but Dallas, you're right. They almost got blanked by the Denver Broncos. And you because a part of you want to say, see, it's the same old Dallas. And then the other part is you got to give the Denver Broncos credit. They went into Dallas, had a game plan, executed it very well. Like you said, they went into the fourth quarter with a goose egg. And if I'm not mistaken, the last touchdown that Dallas scored was like with no time on the clock to finish the game. Just
garbage.
Just so it wasn't such a ass whooping. The question is, and then Dallas is losing players left and right on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
Right. I think that Diggs is being exposed that he is not a good cover corner. He finds himself in a right position to make a pick here and there, but he'll get burned for every interception. He'll get burned for 6 catches on whoever he's supposed to be defending.
Yep.
And then there's something, and I could be wrong, but I don't know, Mike. I think there's something going on with Dak Prescott that they are not letting on, either with the calf or with the shoulder, but he's dealing with something where he is not getting that release off the way he wants to get that ball off. And it's affecting him psychologically because he's overshooting passes. He's throwing them into the dirt. He's not looking like the Dak Prescott that opened the season and looked like, oh my God, this guy's going to have a season.
Yeah. And not for nothing, but they got basically throttled by a Denver defense that lost their captain, right? They lost their captain. Their captain got traded, so without him, they still went out and just shut it down. And maybe you're right. Maybe Dak is not 100%, but they stopped the run too. It's I mean, they're still going to win the East unless something stupid happens. But they got Randy Gregory and Lawrence are both out now. They're both on the injured reserve, and they have Micah Parsons, but now it's up to a rookie to kind of hold that defense together.
I've given this a lot of thought. And the best thing that the Dallas Cowboys have going for them is their running game.
Yeah.
That's the best thing that they have going for them. The thing that makes that not their best thing is I don't believe their head coach understands that if you run the ball, that's your best chance of winning, because he'll move away from that and thinks he needs to throw the ball 30, 40 times a game when you probably don't need to. But real quick, you talked about Denver and they lost their captain on defense. The Denver Broncos is one of those teams that are never really, I shouldn't say never, but they haven't been in recent years flashy in any way. Right? Like, what excites you about Denver when you think about them? Really nothing. Maybe their defense. Their offense really doesn't excite you. Special teams doesn't. Head coaching doesn't. Nothing really excites you. But you know what they do pretty well is they play real good complementary football.
Yeah.
The defense will play well. The offense will play not great, but well. The offense will play well. Specials don't give up anything in terms of defending the punt returns and kickoff returns, and they put the ball where they want to, right? The coaching, the play calling is enough. They're just one of those, if you never saw them play, you wouldn't know that they have what are they, 5-3? The Broncos at this point,
5-4.
5-4. You would never know they were a 5-4 team, right? Dallas, on the other hand, I'm telling you, if you look at the way that the Denver Broncos played Dallas, is probably the recipe on how you can beat them. And then you couple that with the fact that they've got issues on defense. Dak Prescott is definitely dealing with something. They have Atlanta coming into town this Sunday, who's also a dome team. In Atlanta, I think a lot of people slept on them. Cordell Patterson is probably the comeback player of the year, as far as I'm concerned. And they're playing real good, balanced football. They could very easily lose to Atlanta this Sunday. And if they lose to Atlanta this Sunday, are we still saying Dallas is the class of the East? What are we saying then? Is it McCarthy? Is it Dak? Is it the defense?
I think it's definitely McCarthy, right? Like, I don't believe in him as a coach.
The way that the scores of games resulted last week, very possible.
Atlanta's 4-4. Matt Ryan's coming off of player of the week. You know, Matt Ryan's got 2,100 yards passing. You know, he's on pace for a 4,000-yard season without his number one receiver. You know, Ridley took a mental health break. You know, so he's got Kyle Pitts and a bunch of no-names. And their defense is playing adequately. Now, they're 8.5-point dogs. I think that line's out of control.
I think so, too.
I think it's out of control.
I don't agree with it at all. You know, the Dallas Cowboys for years have been hot out the gate and a flat tire at the end. For years. It's really hard to buy into them. Now, you and I have both been on record to say Dallas Cowboys are playing real good football this year.
Yep.
They look tough. They look hard to beat. Dak Prescott's going to throw for 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns this year. Right? Now,
Yep.
Can you still say that? I think a lot will be revealed after this Sunday's game.
I think if they run the ball, they win the game. You know, Zeke had 10 rushes last week. Now, they got behind early, you know, but 10 for 51 is a 5-yard average. How do you move away from that? You know, because you know if you give him the ball 20 times, he's going to break a long run somewhere in there. He's just going to, you know. And Pollard is a nice 1-2 punch. So I just, you know, they need to run the ball, and I don't think they're going to. And, you know, I think Matt Ryan's a good enough quarterback that he can pick apart and expose the secondary of the Cowboys. You know, I'll take 8.5 all day. Dallas probably, I think Dallas wins the game, right? I just do. You know, they on paper, it shouldn't be close, you know, but I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I picked Dallas the other day when Chris and I were on. I think that it's going to be a lot closer than Vegas seems to think.
Yeah.
I think that they are underestimating Atlanta and overvaluing what Dallas has at this point. And, but I do think that Dallas will win this game because I think as long as they run the ball, it's going to open up opportunities for Dak, even if he's on a bad calf and has a bad shoulder.
Yeah.
And with the 1-2 punch, like you talked about with Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, that's a hell of a combination.
Yep.
I will say this, though. The Atlanta Falcons defense is ranked 10th in the league, so it's not going to be an easy task. And if they play the run right and cover their gaps the way that they should, they're going to force them into having a dink and dunk and try to throw the ball. And then they'll have a chance if Atlanta can stop them.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm picking Dallas. I will not be surprised if Atlanta comes away with a win. And I believe Chris took this game as his upset game of the week and said that Atlanta's going to win this game.
You let Chris go off script and call and pick games beyond
Hey,
Thursday? No, I'm just
Chris
kidding.
picked. Heck, he was free flowing, man. What can I tell you?
I mean, so the Giants got a bye, right? Let's stay in the East. The Eagles now have Denver. And I posted some weird shit after the Eagles debacle last week and said it's going to be a letdown game for Denver, and Philly's going to win this game. If Philly continues to run the ball, I think they have a shot to win every game. I just do, But I think that Sirianni is too, like his pendulum is too. It's either all pass or all run, and like he needs to find the balance that like Jalen should be throwing the ball more than 15, 16 times a game. Right? Because otherwise they're going to start stacking the box. And then what are you going to do? So you have to get some rhythm going and you have to get some sort of consistency. So I don't know if we're going to see that against Denver. But I do believe if they run the ball, they could win. Now, imagine if they're 4-6, right? And let's say the Giants come out after the bye and win that game. Now they're 4-6, right?
The Giants are going to beat Tampa in Tampa. Go ahead, finish.
But now Dallas is vulnerable, and their lead on the East doesn't look so daunting anymore. When you got 3 sub 500 teams in Dallas at 6-1, they look like they're going to run away with it. But if Dallas gets exposed, it's up for grabs. They should still win though, because I don't think the Eagles beat Denver, and I don't think the Giants beat Tampa Bay. So, but it would be cool.
Wait, you said you don't think the Eagles are going to beat Denver?
No, not on the pod. I mean, trash talk. Yeah, absolutely, they're going to fucking win.
Right. Right. Yeah,
on the podcast, they shouldn't win. But I think that they're a lot closer than the 30-0 almost stomp of Dallas, right? Like Denver played a really, really good game, but they're 4-4, right? They're not a juggernaut coming, for Philly to kind of get over, And I think that where is the game?
They're 5-4.
Denver?
Yeah, they're 5-4.
Denver's 5-4. So they're at home. They're 2-2 at home, though. They're only getting 1.5. So even Vegas thinks this game is close.
Vegas has been so wrong this year. It's hard for me to.
I mean, who would think the Jags would beat the Bills? Who would think that Miami's going to beat the Ravens?
Listen, and we're not talking about just beat them, right?
No.
Listen, you're talking about a Bills team that was putting up 40 points a game.
Yeah.
They got 2 field goals.
Yeah.
In an entire game.
Against the Jaguars.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know how much I can rely on the spreads that's coming out of Vegas right now until that we get a week where Vegas was spot on again.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about what's coming out of there. Like these guys are playing now. These teams are really trying to win, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
Now you brought up the Broncos and the Eagles game. The Eagles have not won a single home game this year. That is shocking.
Yeah.
They won 3 games, 3 of their 5 road games. The Eagles have won. I think if there's any team that's going to go into Denver and win, the Eagles are so weird because they will look like a juggernaut one week.
Mm-hmm.
against a quality team. And then the following week, you're like, where's the guys that was playing last week? I think that the Eagles can go into Denver and win this game and win it handily. I think they can. Right?
Yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna. I think it's gonna be a real close game. But I
agree.
think Denver's gonna win on a squeaker, bro. And you know what the deciding factor is? It's not really, part of it is because Denver's at home. That's part of it. But the biggest reason, I don't trust Sirianni.
I don't
I don't
either.
trust him to do the right thing with your team.
I don't either. And unfortunately, he's still going to be the coach next year. That's just the way it is. You know, like they're not going to
He
fire
should be,
him.
though.
I
He
mean,
should
they're
be.
they're 3-6 in his first year. They're probably going to win 7 games, right?
Which is what was expected anyway.
It's what we said at the beginning of the season. You know, anything beyond that is gravy. But I just don't think they're going to get past 7, right? I mean, 8-9, they're still under 500. So
That was like Peterson was. Peterson was like 4-12 in his first season, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Sirianni's not going to get fired. I just don't. I don't trust him as a coach. And then what do they do in the offseason, right? I believe Hurts is good enough, right? I think that he's shown improvement. I think that he's playing behind a line that's broken, as did Wentz almost his entire career in Philadelphia. You know, but they have 3 first-round draft picks next year, and if they play it right and draft right, like they can set themselves up for the next 5 years.
Well, there's no good quarterbacks coming out of the draft next year, so I know they're not looking in that direction.
Howie likes fucking wide receivers, though, right? He just does. But you should be done now. Like, you're done drafting wide receivers. You know, go get an offensive lineman, get a defensive lineman, and get a linebacker with those 3 first-round draft picks. Dude, you know, you need to, you know, I might even do something really crazy and just take 3 offensive linemen and just build that offensive line. Get young, you know. But, I mean, going back to this year, they throttled Atlanta in the opening game. They beat a 3-1 Panthers team that were looking red hot at the time with a great defense at the time. And then they throttled Detroit. And like, I know it's Detroit, but they put 44-6 on the board. They're still a professional football team.
I think he only threw for 100 yards.
Yeah.
He had like nine completions.
They're still a professional football team, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they're still not going to get beat by Alabama. You know what I mean?
I do.
So it's just crazy, but you don't know what you're going to get. I think, you know, you got to play the factor of they're a mile high. You know, it's a different air up there. You know, I think they get gassed, you know, but I still think it's close. Denver pulls it out, though.
Yeah, I think so, too. Unless Denver's riding too high on their victory against the Cowboys. But otherwise, I think they'll do just enough to win that game.
How about the Dolphins?
Oh, man. I never saw that coming. Kudos to the Dolphins, though, huh? Jacoby Brissett gets injured early in the game. Then you got Tua that nobody believes in, who comes in and plays well enough to win. He does just enough to keep his team in position to win the game.
Yep.
In fact, he had better numbers than Jacoby Brissett. And if you look at the numbers, the statistics, there was nothing spectacular about what the Dolphins did, but their defense on that fumble return for a touchdown. That was big. If that doesn't happen, this game ends very differently. But, when they needed a big third down conversion, they got it. The Dolphins, they played well. And how about that run? Was that a run or a catch to the lineman? Hold on a second. I think that was, let me see. Who was that? Let me hold on a second. I need to see what this was because there was a touchdown. No, I don't see where it was. There was a score. Was that a lineman or a defensive player on that fumble recovery for the touchdown? Do you remember that play?
Who scored the touchdown? Howard scored the touchdown.
Tua scored a touchdown.
And Xavier Howard scored the touchdown.
Xavier Howard. Yeah, I guess what was I seeing? I saw a replay from something. I don't know what that was.
You saw the TD was called back.
Oh, okay. All right. Who was that? A lineman or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The effort was unbelievable, though. Oh my God. I was like, wow. Yeah, I just looked at highlights of the game. I didn't see the whole thing. And in fact, that particular one, it didn't show up in the highlights I saw because it was called back.
Oh, yeah. I'm watching the replay right now. He got turned upside down.
And extended.
Reached over.
Impressive. Who was that guy?
I don't even know.
It's pretty good. Now, I don't know. I tell you what, like Miami is one of those teams. I don't know who they are. They're just scrapping away,
Yeah.
They're just scrapping away. Good for them for beating a quality team, though. A quality team. But I tell you, we got some really good matchups coming up.
All right, let's watch it here.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about it.
That's a tackle.
Look at his leg, dude. Right? Like it looks like his leg is broke right there.
Yeah, that's their right tackle. That's unbelievable. Lands on his head, extends. Oh my God.
This is why we need a producer. We can have these moments and watch a replay.
Look at him breaking tackles, shaking, juking, leaping.
Dude, and it was a busted play. Like Tua backed up to the 20, dumps it off to the 10, and he runs it in from there.
Look at this, a hold or
like
illegal man downfield or no, because those linemen weren't over the
there had to be a hold.
Scrimmage. There had to be a hold. That's the only thing that makes sense.
The play of the year that was not a play.
Right. I saw that online. I was like, oh my God. How impressive is that? So, I mean, but we got a couple of really good matchups coming up. New Orleans and Tennessee is a good one.
Yep.
I think that New England and Cleveland is probably the game of the week, given where both of those teams are and how well both of them are playing. So, Cam Newton coming back is a story.
If we look at New England and Cleveland, right? No, I didn't expect New England to be making any kind of noise this year. right? As far as, in playoff contention, right? So in my mind, this is a must win for the Browns. Like, I think that, if they go 5-5, they're still not out of it. There's still 7 games to play. But, they were perennial Super Bowl contender discussion from the jump, right? Like, they were going to be that good. And they're not right now. So, and I would not want to go to New England and play against a Bill Belichick coach team in a must-win situation, because I'm fairly certain that he's going to take away their best weapon.
Yeah, but their best weapon is their run game. And they got a couple of really good running backs.
Chubb's out.
3 of them.
Chubb's out.
Is he?
Yep. Chubb is out. Hunt is still out. So, it goes to Ernest Johnson,
who came out like a bat out of hell and ran the ball well behind that very good offensive line.
Yeah, he's going to need to do that again for them to win.
So we talked about this game, and Chris agreed with you. This is a must win for Cleveland. And while I think Cleveland is more than capable of winning, I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to beat New England. I think that Mac Jones is showing why he was drafted by the Patriots. The kid is getting better and better each week. He's looking more like he's in his second year than his first year as he's entering the second half of the season.
Yeah.
He's playing very well. The defense has gotten a lot better as the year has gone on. I don't know how healthy the Patriots are going into this game. I don't know if they're missing key players, but based on the way they've been playing lately, I don't think the Cleveland Browns are going to win. And what's the spread? The spread is what? They're getting 1.5. Cleveland? I don't see it.
No, the New England's getting 2.5.
Okay. I don't know that that's much of a difference.
No.
What's 2.5? A field goal?
Yep.
How do you even give 1.5 or 2.5?
They just don't want ties.
Yep. I don't know.
And Mac Jones, not for nothing. So he's got 10 TDs against 7 interceptions right now. But he had a 3 interception game in his third game of the season. So third game of the season, rookie, 3 interceptions.
What? Right.
I mean, he's on pace for 4,000 yards.
And when he woke up? When Tom Brady came to town.
Yep.
That's when he claimed his status as the New England Patriots quarterback. Yep. We've moved on. He made a statement that night because Brady barely left there with a victory. Barely. Yep. And ever since then, New England's been a whole different team. Yep. So I'm picking New England in that one. Won't be by much, but I'm picking New England.
I'm going to take New England.
What about Vegas and Kansas City?
So this game's interesting, right? Because Vegas, I mean, they lost to the Giants. Is that because of everything that happened? And it just keeps coming, right? Like Gruden has now filed suit against the NFL. So like it just keeps coming, Ruggs is still in the news. His lawyers trying to get shit suppressed and not be public information, right? Like his hospital records and shit. Well, unfortunately, police records are public information. So, you're kind of fucked there. but there's that's still in the news. So can they put it past them? I don't know. Right. I don't know if they can put it it's in Vegas. The Chiefs have not looked like the Chiefs. The sauce is out there on how to beat them. Even last week they won, right? The Chiefs won last week.
Barely. They beat the
Barely.
Packers with Love at quarterback. Jordan Love. They scored 13 points, if I'm not mistaken, last week.
What the fuck? What's going on? I don't trust the Chiefs.
You've good reason not to trust them. I don't trust them either. And then, the Raiders haven't sat back and said, you know what, we're tanking our season. They're still, listen, they just picked up Djax. I don't know how good he's going to be out there, but he gives them a deep threat. He at a minimum, he's going to make you play deep and create some openings underneath. So you'll be able to, get some dink and dunks down the field. And with Waller playing, it's not like they don't have any tools. And Derek Carr is still a quality quarterback. He's still playing real good football. And I honestly think that the team has united around their interim head coach with the John Gruden debacle and what's going on with him and suing the league and all of this stuff. This is the fourth week that the Raiders have had to deal with this, and it hasn't affected them, in my opinion. The first two games after the whole Gruden fiasco, they were rolling. In fact, they looked better. They had a hiccup when they went to New York and played the Giants. Okay, what team doesn't have a hiccup along the way? Do I think that with the noise outside of the locker room is going to be that much of a distraction for them to not play better? And even with the distractions that they've experienced, they're still playing better than the Kansas City Chiefs are. They just are, man. Kansas City's defense is terrible, and their offense is a step above their terrible defense this year. I can't put my finger on it. I mean, you double, and listen, even against the Giants, damn, what's his name? Number 10, the receiver. Can't think of his name.
Hill.
Tyreek Hill. Even against the Giants, Tyreek Hill, he had like 10 catches for almost 100 yards. They gave them all the underneath stuff they wanted. All of it. And because they knew their defense couldn't stop them in any other way. If it weren't for
anybody other than Tyreek Hill has 10 catches for 90 yards and maybe a touchdown, great game, right?
Yeah.
But that's not Tyreek Hill numbers. Tyreek Hill numbers are 10 catches for 190 yards and 2 scores. Which shorts the field.
Travis Kelce right over there with 8 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. So, if the Raiders can do that, I regardless, I think the Raiders win this game, right? It's in Vegas. I think they bounce back. It's a division game. There's enough tape out there to show what kind of, Mahomes is not playing bad, but he's been bad the last 5 weeks. So I think I got the Raiders winning this game.
And he's been bad the last 5 weeks and has shown no signs that he's getting better.
No.
None.
No.
Yep. What about Seattle and Green Bay? I think this one's interesting with all the shit going on with Aaron Rodgers. I think he was just permitted to enter the facility again today. Not much of any practice to be had from him.
Is he
coming
playing?
Back from? He's eligible. He had COVID, and COVID takes a lot out of you, from what I understand. I haven't had it, but
So
And then all of the bad juju from just the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. And Russell Wilson's back for this game.
Wilson's
And
back. They say he's at 100%.
yep.
Rodgers is playing, so there's that.
Yep.
So I mean, not to make light of COVID, right? But since Aaron Rodgers mentioned him, I'll bring him up. Joe Rogan's 54 years old. He got COVID. He threw the kitchen sink at it. And, you know, he claims like he was totally fine in a day, right? Aaron Rodgers is an athlete as well. He's not 54. He's plays professional football. He's in shape, right? Like what? And like those two are friends. So I'm guessing Rodgers probably threw the fucking kitchen sink at it too, right? When you got that kind of money, you could do an IV drip. You could do a vitamin C fucking regimen. You could do zinc. You could do all the other therapeutic remedies that are out there, and get yourself relatively healthy, you know. I mean, even though we hate, I hate the strong word. It's probably right for you. Even Trump, right? Like he had COVID, and he was up and around in a day or two. In the car, waving, making, out on the, in front of the window, standing, doing whatever. And again, he's got the money to throw the kitchen sink at it, right? Like you and I don't have, like, I don't have access to the ivermectin for humans, right? Like, I'm sure if I had a doctor, I could probably find it, but like it's out there somewhere. But I don't have access. Like, I've never gotten an IV drip when I'm sick. Like,
right. Yeah.
I've never done that. For me,
Right.
it knocked me out for a week.
Right.
It just did. So, if there's ever a quarterback that doesn't need a week of practice, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So you got two quarterbacks coming in off of missing time, right? Russell Wilson probably has the leg up because he can do everything but throw a ball, so he can run on a treadmill. He could, walk through at a high speed, different plays. He can, keep his legs strong, so he didn't have to sit on a couch for 3-4 weeks. So, he's probably a little bit more in shape, but neither one of them are going to be in game shape. That's a toss-up, man. That's a tough game.
I think that, you made references to other people, other individuals who've had COVID. Joe Rogan's 54, Donald Trump's, what was he, 73? Something like that.
Yeah.
And they were back up and at it, which is good for them. That's great. But they're not professional athletes.
Yeah.
Their bodies are not going to endure 350-pound guys chasing them to tackle them. You're not going to be in many cases asked to throw a ball 40 times.
Right.
So I think back to when Will Hernandez caught COVID last year, our right guard.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he just did not have the wind to play at the level that he played, and his game suffered for it. I don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. I think that the hurdles that he has to overcome are greater than what Joe Rogan and Donald Trump. They had to walk a flight of stairs and wave, right? Or he had to get back in the seat and do his podcast. He didn't have to put forth the exertion that Aaron Rodgers is going to be expected to put forth in a tough game with Seattle defense. And then when you look at the two quarterbacks, and then Aaron Rodgers had to quarantine, whether he's taking ivermectin or whatever, he's on a drip. He's not running around doing nothing. At a minimum, Russell Wilson was probably still able to get on the bike, on the treadmill, run laps, whatever the hell he did, throw the ball to different people, practice, whatever. He was able to do that. And then the Seattle Seahawks with Geno Smith at quarterback did not play bad.
No,
they did not. He simply didn't have that extra oomph that Russell Wilson has. I would dare say Russell Wilson would have won 2 to 3 of those games that Geno Smith had to fill in for him. And then we could actually be looking at a 6-2 Seattle team going against a 7-2 Green Bay team with Russell Wilson healthy, not missing a snap, not missing a beat, and Aaron Rodgers dealing with coming back from COVID with no practice. And you're right, practice means nothing for an Aaron Rodgers. You kidding me? He could probably go 3 weeks and not practice. I don't know about this year, because when he started the season this year, what did he throw? Like 3 picks or something in the first game?
That was a bad game.
That was a bad game. That's no practice right there. That's like coming in cold. So I don't know. I think that Green Bay could win, maybe even should win. Maybe Vegas has them winning. I'm not buying it. I'm just not. I think that Seattle is going to win this game, and they're going to probably win by a touchdown or better.
I'm going to disagree with you, only because they're playing in Lambeau.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm on an island by myself on that one. I'm okay with it.
Chris picked Green Bay. And on paper, like, this is a scary dead even game, right? They almost have the same points for and almost the same points against. The biggest difference, they almost have the same total yards on offense a game. The biggest difference is Seattle gives up 75 more yards a game than Green Bay's defense does.
But why is that? Their offense isn't on the field as long.
I also think that Green Bay's defense is quietly better than you expect them to be.
Yeah, I agree.
No one's talking about their defense, right? Their defense is so good, they were able to let go of Jalen Smith. I'd like to know what's going on with that dude.
Yeah, how about it?
But they didn't need him. Obviously, they cut him. So, being in Lambeau, I think they have quietly the better defense. I think that everything on the table, the quarterback position's even. I think Green Bay squeaks one out. That's where I'm at.
It's probably only 2 other games that deserves discussion, I would think, and that's New Orleans and Tennessee. And the only reason that this other one would, I think, warrant any discussion is because of how bad they looked last week. And it's a division game this week, and that's the Bills and the Jets. So where do you want to start?
I mean, let's start with the Bills and the Jets. Jets being led by Mike White.
Former Cowboy.
Right? Who would have thunk that? I had to look that one up. I was like, I don't even know when this dude got drafted. I thought he was a rookie. But no, he was drafted by the Cowboys. So, for all intents and purposes, there's no reason the Bills should not win this game.
How many times have we said that?
But and like, so much so that when ESPN does their matchup predictors, it's normally like, I mean, a 70-30 is usually pretty high, right? This one's an 82-17, right? So 82.9% prediction that they should win this game, right? But if you put the same stat with the Bills and the Jags, I'd say it was probably the same. Maybe even worse. and the Jags still pulled that one out. And the NFL this year is one of the weirdest seasons I've ever seen. You know, not only because like teams are winning games that no one thinks they're going to, the amount of running backs that are hurt right now, just running backs. You know, the injuries abound. Patrick Mahomes looking like, Uncle Rico. It's a weird season. I can't pick the Jets. All that being said, there is no way I could pick the Jets. I just can't.
I agree.
There's
Listen, as bad as the Bills looked last week, defensively, they still looked good.
Yeah.
They gave up 3 field goals as a defense. They couldn't do anything on offense. And listen, I am not going to sit here and say that it was all just the Bills went to Jacksonville and laid an egg. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. They overlooked them. They looked right past them to their next division game against the Jets. They had to go in there and play the way they did. However, while they were overlooking the Jaguars were game planning their asses off. Hold on a second. There was a Josh Allen that looked spectacular, but it wasn't the quarterback of the Bills.
No.
He had a game, right? So you got to give credit to the Jaguars, but that's one of those unicorn games for the Jaguars. It's not going to happen again against a quality opponent, because if this week in football has taught us anything, it's don't look past your opponent, because you're playing a professional NFL football team. The Dolphins, the Raiders, the Bills. There were probably a couple of more that I'm not thinking of right now from last week. Oh, the Cowboys. I don't know if I should say the Cowboys, though, because Denver's a quality team. But there were a lot of teams that overlooked their opponents and thought that it was going to be a walk in the park. And honestly, Vegas should not have overlooked the Giants, because the Giants gave Kansas City everything they can handle, and they matched up well.
Yeah.
But the Bills, even with all the problems they had in Jacksonville this past week, I think if I were to pick the Jets, I'd get struck by lightning right now, or something crazy would happen. There's no way I can pick the Jets to win this game. Division game or not. And the last time they faced them, the Jets had a pretty close game. The score was like 18-10 or something like that. And this was last year's Bills when they were putting up 40 a game then too. So I'm picking the Bills on this one.
So back to the predictor. The Bills were an 86.5% predicted before the Jets game started. So they took for the Jags game. So for the Jets game, they brought them down to 82. They give the Jets a little bit more of a chance than they did the Jags. I mean, so the Jets beat Tennessee and they beat Cincinnati. They got throttled by the Colts last week. Throttled. I don't think Josh Allen has another bad game.
He might, but it won't be against the Jets.
It's not going to be against the Jets. He might throw 2 picks, but he might throw for 5.
Yep.
So, I have to pick the Bills.
I agree, 100%.
It's weird that I have to question that, though.
That it's even a discussion. It's only a discussion because of last week, though, which was a misnomer, and we know that.
Like, we wouldn't even discuss this game.
I know.
So Tennessee and
this is an interesting game.
The Saints. I think Ryan Tannehill's a better quarterback than we know.
I agree.
And
He's
I
shown
think
that.
Mike Vrabel is quietly one of the better coaches in the league. No one talks about him. He's a fucking good coach, right?
I agree
You
again.
you lost Derrick Henry, and I mean, I kind of look like a genius now. 8 games into the season, I was like, you fucked up and gave away Derrick Henry, dude, right into my fantasy league. But like I had from the beginning of the season, I was like, I don't know if anybody that plays running back that could sustain what he has done for 3 years, right? Like he's done it for 3 years. It's gonna catch up. He might not ever be the same back, with that foot injury. So back to Vrabel and Tannehill, they have weapons, man. They have other weapons. And there's a line that opened up those holes for Derrick Henry. The running back might not have that breakaway speed. They might not have the same stiff arm, but they have the same hole where they can get 5, 6, 7 yards at a clip, which is plenty enough to keep a defense honest, right? Like you're not going to be able to bring the house and make Tannehill beat you, right? You're still going to have to play for the run. And again, Vrabel, I think, is a good coach. He knows how to call a football game. So that being said, New Orleans, their defense is really fucking good. I just don't know, where's it at? Is it in Tennessee? Yeah.
Yeah, they're in Tennessee.
So the Saints are 3-1 on the road. Tennessee's 3-1 at home. That's a crazy thought. I have to say Tennessee. I can't imagine.
I'm not even struggling with my pick on this one.
I don't see
definitely
Jameis Winston beating Tennessee. Kamara's out too.
Jameis Winston's done for the year.
That's right.
Done for the year. Trevor Siemian is the quarterback. They got Taysom Hill back, but he's going to be the Swiss Army knife that he's been. Would you know that the Saints have the second worst offense in the league?
No.
Second worst in the league.
With no Kamara this week.
With no Kamara this week. And the Titans brought 57-year-old Adrian Peterson in, who played admirably last week. No Derrick Henry, no problem. Tannehill is looking very good. Listen, Tannehill is not a Joe Montana, okay? No. Tannehill is a very capable quarterback, though. And Tannehill will not lose you any games. The Tennessee Titans have been playing such good football as a team. Their units play very well together. The holes the line opens up. All Adrian Peterson needs is a little hole. He'll get you 6, 7 yards a clip. You don't need him to get you deep runs down the field like Derrick Henry was getting you. And you brought up an interesting point about the abuse that a running back takes, particularly one of Derrick Henry's size. He reminds me so much. He's a better running back than Brandon Jacobs was, but they're the same type of running back. Yeah. And when you talked about the injury, Brandon Jacobs used to run the same way, truck dudes left and right. Leave them saying, what the fuck was that? Where was my help? You know I can't tackle that dude, right? Yeah. And would run for 60 yards. But when he got injured, he injured his ankle. He wasn't the same running back.
Yeah.
When you're that big and you're putting that much pressure, force, and weight on a damaged joint, you ain't playing the same style of football that you used to play. So, but the running game wasn't just Derrick Henry. It
Right.
was, you look at the highlights, there were holes where he wasn't touched till he was 15 yards down the field. And it was all his skills that got him the 70-yard touchdown. So, and then Tannehill's playing very good football. Their defense is not as good as you would think they should be, could be, but I do think that I would think their defense will be better than their offense, being that Vrabel was a defensive minded guy. But I don't know. St. Louis is a dome team. Trevor Siemian, I don't believe that he is the answer. And I know they know he's not the answer. And I feel bad for Jameis Winston. He was finally playing good football. Not that he wasn't playing good football before, but he was playing better football. He wasn't forcing stuff. He wasn't throwing 5 touchdowns and throwing 4 interceptions. You know, now in St. Louis, you know, he, why can't I think of the guy's name? Sean Payton. Is that his name, the head coach?
Yeah.
Sean Payton. He has found a way to make Jameis Winston look like a totally different quarterback than he was coming into the league. But he throws for a lot less yards, but he's far more efficient. And then he tears his Achilles and he's done for the season. You got to feel bad for the guy. Oh, it just flashed on my screen. 85% win probability for the Bills over the Jets on NFL.com. So ESPN and NFL.com are trending in the same direction on that one. But I just think that Tennessee is too much for the Saints. And while the Saints defense is good, that's all the Saints has this year. No Alvin Kamara, no quarterback. Taysom Hill is a switch up gadget player, but he needs complementary pieces for him to be that good. Otherwise, they know to key in on him. Even with Mark Ingram being back in New Orleans, he's not enough. So I'm going with Tennessee. And honestly, I don't even think it's going to be that close. I think it's going to be probably a 7 to 10 point victory for the Titans.
So I'm real interested to see Adrian Peterson with a week under his belt hit some of those holes. Like, the dude may still be pretty fast, you know, and he's just one of those guys that, you know, there's not many of them, right? Like you got Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Frank Gore, Marshall Faulk, Adrian Peterson. Like, I mean, that's sustained for a decade or more, right? Barry Sanders quit too soon, you know.
Frank
but like,
Gore. Did you say Frank Gore?
I did.
Oh,
Shit, I'm sorry. I'm surprised someone didn't sign his ass.
he's still playing somewhere, probably in the CFL. You kidding me?
You know, and Tannehill, I think is a better Joe Flacco, right? I think Tennessee's Tannehill is a better Joe Flacco. You know, so the Titans are a very real football team. Look at her. Look at that hair. Lord. Looks great. Bye. Good night. Go Eagles. It's Titans win this game.
Yeah. What do you think they win by?
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
I don't know that any other games are interesting. Maybe the Chargers and Vikings. I think that the Chargers win that one. Chris was saying that he thinks that Zimmer is probably on a hot seat based on his record, the teams he's been given for the past few seasons, and can't even make it, you know, past the first round of the playoffs if they even get to the playoffs. They paid Kirk Cousins all of that money. They gave him everything he really needed, and he's in that 7th year of the league. Last week, we were talking about how what's a good tenure for a head coach anymore, right? Because we're in a what have you done for me lately league. Coaches are given like 2 years to build a Super Bowl team, which I personally think is unrealistic. It certainly has proven to not work more than it has worked. And when you look at the successful teams in the league, usually coaches have enough time, which is more than 2 years, to build a winning franchise. At 7 years, Zimmer is definitely at that place where you should be like a definite playoff team yearly and knocking on the door of a Super Bowl. And he's not. What do you think?
I mean, I agree, right? Like, but Minnesota's one of those weird teams this year too, though, right? Like they've hung in a lot of games, right? Their defense has played well in moments. The Chargers are more concerning for me, right? Like the Chargers, I thought were going to be at this point better than 5-3, right? 6-2, 7-1, possibly, right? But they've looked vulnerable in spurts. I just don't think that Minnesota is going to shut them down, right? Like I think the Chargers are a better team than that. And I agree. Zimmer should be on the hot seat. Obviously we feel the same about Nagy. But Zimmer's right there. Like you've had a long enough tenure to not have won. And call whatever you will. I mean, they got. Their claim to fame is they knocked out New Orleans on a bad called play.
Terrible call.
Like that's the what have you done for me lately?
Or a terrible no call.
Yeah. That's all they got. They went out the following week, got throttled. So like that's who they are. They're a one and done playoff team.
The couple of things you said. The Minnesota Vikings have become a team that had every chance to win, but finds ways to lose every single week.
Yeah.
That's their new identity. Yeah. And you talked about bad calls. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up that terrible call against that sack against Roethlisberger that turned into, in my opinion, it was a horrible call when Corinthy, I believe is his name, the referee, threw an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the Bears on Monday Night Football, which resulted in a first down, which gave them just enough field position to kick a field goal and win on Monday night. What were your thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. Right.
And did you see that in real time or no?
I saw it in real time. And then I also saw the replay of him throwing the flag. And I questioned, I don't believe the broadcast said anything at the time. But I was like, he just fucking leaned into him.
He did.
Right? Like, I was like, that's weird. Right? Like, and I thought he was calling that. That's what I thought he was throwing the flag on. But then they showed it like he was already going for the flag, so he was, but like he paused, he did a LeBron thing where he just held he threw the flag and I'm going to hold my fucking hand up here. Like, who the fuck? You're a ref, dude. You don't do that shit. That's a taunting call on its own self. Was it taunting? Probably, right? Like, you can't walk across the field and stare down the opposing bench, right? By the written rule today, I believe it's a penalty. Do you call that then? Dude came off the practice squad, got a sack on Ben Roethlisberger against a team that cut him. I probably don't call that. I don't like he wasn't in anybody's face. He
He
wasn't
didn't
yelling
even cross
anything.
the hash, bro.
You know,
He
like
didn't even cross the hash. He didn't point. He made no gestures. He looked. He might have been looking for his coach.
yeah.
He
I
just
don't
looked.
like the rule at all.
I thought it was
with.
a terrible call. You've
Yeah.
said this for years, Mike. The NFL, the no fun league.
Yeah.
That was a horrible, that was borderline. I placed a bet on the Steelers to win this game, and they're gonna fucking win tonight.
Yeah.
That was borderline that.
Yeah.
And you know what made it borderline that? Here's the thing, Mike. He was right by the hash, turned around, he jogged at least 10 paces. Flag still isn't thrown. If you're throwing a flag for that, you're throwing it when he's over there. He's like 10 paces back. You're reaching for the flag, then you bump. I was like, yo, wait a minute. And I got the direct TV. You can rewind it real quick. I rewinded it. He bumped him.
Yeah.
That's a penalty in the NBA for an illegal screen when you put your butt out.
Yeah.
He bumped him. And then he threw. You can't tell me. You can't. I just know.
Terrible.
Now, it's just a regular season game. It's the Steelers should have beat the Bears anyway. They want whatever they want. Whatever. Right? But bad call. And it brought me to this other point. Now, we got to wrap up. But it brought me to this other thing that I wanted to mention. Every NFL team in the league this year, if they complained about some penalties that resulted in a terrible advantage given to the other team on either a missed call or a bad call, you can't get mad at them. Every team has a reason, a legitimate reason to complain about the officiating this year. It's been that bad.
And for $1 billion corporation where you need to make that a full-time job, and it's a year-round gig, and in the off season they're going to school and they're watching tape and they're watching videos and they're studying and they're having brainstorming sessions and they're talking about, is this really a penalty?
And they're getting penalized for bad calls.
Yeah.
Mike, their importance, the referee's importance has increased substantially with how big fantasy football has gotten, with how big DraftKings has gotten, with all of the different tentacles that have attached themselves to the league.
Yep.
You can't have stuff like that go on because it is much more. It's much more than the Steelers won the game. It's much more than that now because player stats mean just as much as team stats now with fantasy football.
Yep.
With all of these different sports betting odds makers that are out there, you cannot have a pass interference called that was not pass interference by a referee because somebody fucked up his coffee that morning. It's too much attached to it at this point. Not that it was ever okay, but if it was ever a worse time for it to occur as frequently as it does, and I'm talking about this year, you can't have that. No. You're right. They need to have an increased focus on the officiating, the training. It has to be a full-time job. They need to be facing some severe consequences when they get it wrong, because it could mean the difference between, I don't know, I don't agree with the whole sports betting thing, but people do it. People can lose millions of dollars.
Millions.
On one bad call.
Millions.
And what do? You can't do nothing. Because when they say it's done, when the call is made, that's the gospel. That's it.
Yep.
It's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the Saints. They complaining for years now.
We're still talking about it. That shit was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's just, it is what it is. You know, I don't like the rule itself. You know, I think, you know, you're talking about some of the best athletes on the planet that have been basically paid to play since high school. All right. Like, call it what you will, man. I've been on the field with legitimate NFL talent, right? When they were still in high school. And there's a fucking difference, right? I used to go watch Larry Johnson play when he played at Parkland. And that dude was insane, you know, and then he went to Penn State, and then he played for the Chiefs, and then he did some dumb shit, right? But like he had a 2,000-yard season or close to it, one of those. You know, like his level of talent in high school was that much better. So like these dudes that have been paid to play since high school, you know, and they're taught to show emotion, right? They're not a robot, you know. Like when you beat up a 300-pound dude in front of you that you just went one-on-one for, think about MMA or boxing, right? Maybe more prevalent in MMA, right? But when a dude wins by knockout, like he flexes, he jumps over the cage, you know, he taunts, you know, like in a sport that you're supposed to have a mutual respect for the other fighter, right? This is still martial arts we're talking about. Football is the same thing. You know, when you can beat your opponent one-on-one, get to the quarterback and get a sack. I mean, Mark Gastineau made a thing out of it.
Yes,
made a career out of it. You know, it is what it is. And we're going to call this taunting now? We live in a Twitter world, right? I would go so far to say that Twitter is maybe more popular with the kids today than Facebook, right? And that's a bold statement. But all Twitter is trash talk. That's all it fucking is. This is the world we live in. You know, our podcast is built off of a trash talk page. Taunting, right? Like we have taunted each other. We've taunted other people. Like we have absolutely run it in. That's what we do. That's our culture when it comes to football. And now it's a fucking flag? Come on. I can't stand when former players got to clean up our league. Shut the fuck up. Mike Tomlin, shut the fuck up. You know, like, shut the fuck up. You tripped a dude running down the sideline. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, I remember that. And listen, my wife, you know, when she didn't see the play or the penalty, and I showed it to her. I said, y'all won last night. She went to sleep.
Yeah.
He said, oh, that's cool. We won. I said, but let me show you something that happened here. She was like, I don't want to win like that. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Even my wife said it.
Yeah.
Like, nobody, listen, I'll take it, right? If I'm a Steelers fan, I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
But I prefer to win on the merits of we out fucking played you.
Yeah.
But if the ref is going to help me out, I'm going to take it. But I'm not going to deny it either. That was fucked up.
Yeah.
But I'll take it.
Sure.
You know? I don't know, man. It's just been a difficult thing. I think it's something that the league has to take a look at. You allow the entire fucking team to run down into the opposing team's end zone and do a celebratory dumbass dance routine, but you can't get excited when you went man on man with another giant and you won. And you didn't say nothing. You didn't point. You didn't make any obscene gestures. You didn't pee like a dog like Odell Beckham Jr. did. You did none of that. And then you fucking bump him, you bitch. And you call a penalty on him and you bumped him? Motherfucker, you should have been called as a penalty.
He should be suspended.
Anyway.
He should be suspended.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if a player actually hit him like that, guess what?
Yeah.
That's an automatic ejection, and they're getting a FedEx envelope on Monday morning.
Yep.
With a fine.
Oh, yeah. CeeDee Lamb gets fined for not wearing his socks up to his knees.
Yeah.
You know? But you're going to allow a ref to do that shit.
He's a Cowboy, so fuck him, though.
Fuck him. Fine his ass fucking $5,000 every time he don't pull his damn socks up. Or tuck his shirt in, because that's another fine. Like, but you allow that to happen, right? Like, you need to fine the ref or suspend them or both.
Yeah, something's got to change.
They're not going to do it, though.
All right, so when are we back? Oh, next week. I'm going to be in classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays now, 8 to 10. So I'm
what kind of classes?
Yeah. Well, season's coming up, so and you know we work, so that's when the classes are available. Updates and such, you know. So
I might need to break down and hire you this year, Atticus.
Tuesday ones.
I might need to break down and give you some business.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing TurboTax for years, but like I'm at a different level now, income wise.
Sure.
And I don't know. The taxes freak me out. All the changes, all the bullshit.
You probably need tax planning more than anything. I can help
probably.
You with that. Yeah.
I don't like that I can't use this as a write-off anymore. That pisses me off.
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
There's so much that frustrates me within the profession that I work.
Yeah.
And there are things that you simply can't do, and you want to help people because you know it's right. And there's certain things you simply can't do. So you learn ways that you can help people. And those are the things that you work within.
The whole child tax credit thing irritates me.
Well, you're going to see some benefits there.
Are there, or are they taking that money back come taxes?
Nope. It's getting better.
So they're not. So the government's been giving me $250 a child for the last. I think I get it again on Monday, right? Or at least that's what Michelle told me, because she pays attention to that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm getting, because I claim both kids because she doesn't work, right? But then, like, I give her some, right? As far as the tax credit goes, I've just been splitting it in half. But I'm like, why do I even get this? Right? Because
you didn't have to. You could have turned it down and just got it in the form of a refund when you do your taxes.
Okay.
But you don't have to give it back.
Okay.
It's your money. It's just in advance. They're giving it to you up front. That's all.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they're increasing it for 2021.
So when I file my taxes, it's not going to hurt me as bad as I thought it would, because I like a tax refund.
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking, but they increased the credit to the point where you would have gotten more back this year anyway.
Okay.
But they're giving that more to you up front. That additional you're getting up front. So if you do see a reduction, it won't be by much. Because they increased it, so you really won't feel that.
Right.
I think that's also, to be honest with you, I think the government gives away way too much money. Way too much money.
I didn't need a stimulus check. I didn't need one. I took it.
Yeah.
But I didn't need it.
They give away far too much money, Mike.
Yeah.
And it frustrates me. Like, I'm a conservative, right? I don't agree with a lot of things from a lot of different people, but I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
And when I look at the tax code, first of all, it's not fair across the board. It is not. And we're probably still recording and shouldn't be, but hey, what's up, buddy? I didn't even see him sneak in there. But the tax code right now favors the poor.
Yeah.
And those folks who are high income wage earners who make more than like $400,000 a year, or you have a whole lot of passive income.
Yeah.
You're fine on both of those sides of the spectrum. But if you're a W-2 wage earner in the middle, making between 75 and I'm gonna say $350,000 a year, and you're W-2, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're done. You're done. And if you haven't put any plans in place to direct some of your income on how you want it to be taxed, you're doubly fucked.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you. There you have it, folks. Tax advice and knowledge from Access Cornerstone. You know, an unsponsored unsponsored participant in our podcast, but take what you can get.
That's right. Use it.
Yeah. On that note, we're gonna need to find a different day. I hate the Tuesday to begin with. Like, I work, bro, you know, and like 7:30 shows up out of nowhere, and I'm like, fuck. So I know we have Thursday night games, but like, and then we got to wrap up the weekend, and I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Why don't we just do once a week, Friday nights?
Yeah.
Do we really need twice a week?
Probably not. You know Chris, though, man.
Chris will do it 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Yo, somebody got traded. Let's talk.
I want to do a non-football podcast with Chris.
Yeah.
Because he is a progressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like, and not that I disagree with some of his viewpoints.
Yeah.
But maybe not to the extreme he wants to go.
Right.
Right. Like, I'm not a fan of AOC, and I'm not a fan of Trump. All right. So like, you know, you would think that you would pick one versus the other. I could do without either of them, you know? But like, he's funny, man. And he gets angry.
Yeah. A lot of the reasons that I don't like Trump aren't the same reasons that liberals don't like Trump. And then there are liberals who don't like Trump for reasons that make absolutely no fucking sense to me. Like, how are you mad at him for that?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't care for the guy either, but don't lie on him. Don't just make shit up, because he's going to give you enough reasons to not like him any fucking way. Yeah. Right. And then how are you going to, the hypocrisy is what kills me. Like, I'm not even going to get into all of it because it's too much. And
it is too much, right?
It's
and like,
probably not the best place for it.
Well, I'll cut this out. CNN, I'll stop recording now. The problem